Hello and welcome to Auspol Explained. I'm your long curly-haired host David, and today I'm going to be talking about what local government does in Australia, and you're going to be listening to me talk about that topic. You ready? Let's go. So, there are three levels of government in Australia: federal, state and local. We're going to be talking about the last one. Local government does not get as much attention as the other two tiers, but it's pretty important to looking after your local area and delivering and managing services. There are over 500 local councils in Australia. The size of them can vary a lot, ranging from 1.1 square kilometres with the Shire of Peppermint Grove in Western Australia, all the way to over 372,000 square kilometres with the Shire of East Pilbara, also in Western Australia. The best Australia. It's not a competition. Losers. The variations in size, shape and responsibilities allow local governments to be flexible and adaptable to the needs of a specific area, which is what they're for. What a local government can do can also vary from state to state, but a general list of their responsibilities can include rubbish collection and recycling, local parks, public camping grounds, sports and recreational facilities like swimming pools, pet control, local libraries, some art galleries and museums, parking facilities and street parking, health services such as water and food inspection, toilet facilities, noise control, meat inspection and animal control, some community services, building services including inspections, licensing, certification and enforcement, town and land planning and building approval, administration of facilities such as marinas and cemeteries, maintenance of street signs, local roads and bus stops, sewerage, land and coast care programs, and tree maintenance. Again, sometimes these things can vary from state to state, and it might not be the local government's responsibility to look after everything on that list in your area. The structure of a local government area can also vary. Councils don't always have the same amount of councillors from one place to the next, though the average is about 9. Larger council areas can be subdivided into wards, so the council can be made up of 2 councillors from one ward, 2 councillors from another, etc. So every part of that local government area has representatives. The head councillor is usually called the mayor or president. Sometimes the public directly elects the mayor, sometimes they just elect councillors, and then those councillors choose from amongst themselves who gets to be the top dog. It varies in a way that state and federal simply just does not. Local government areas can also have different names, including city, area, town, municipality, shire, council, district, Aboriginal shires/councils, and also borough. There is only one borough in Australia, the borough of Queenscliff in Victoria. Why? For the vibes, I guess. And if you're wondering, why do they have different names? What's the difference between a town, city and shire? Well, in WA, if it has a large population, it's a city. If it's smaller but still urban, it's a town, and then shire is literally everything else. Western Australia only divides it into those 3 types of local government areas. Other states may have more categories and potentially different ways on deciding which gets which name, but I'm not going to go into all of that. If you're genuinely curious, look up the Local Government Act of your respective state or territory to see if it mentions the rules for how they get given different names. Now let's talk about money. Local councils raise money through rates from property owners, but that can't pay for everything, so they also get financial grants from the state government. The federal government can't fund local governments directly. It's not allowed to do that according to the Constitution. But the Constitution does say it can give states money, so it can go, hey, here's a few $billions, distribute it to local government how you, the states, see fit. Local governments, or councils, are also distinctly different from state and federal governments in that they are not formed in a parliament. Councillors are not members of parliament, they meet in a council building. So how do local councils work? Well, local councils have been granted limited powers to make bylaws. Warning, I'm about to get really technical for a moment, but don't worry, I'll simplify it right after. So, when a parliament makes a law, it's called an Act of Parliament, right? Also known as primary legislation. Primary legislation can include clauses that grant powers to specific people or groups to make certain types of decisions, which are then known as secondary legislation or delegated legislation. Basically, it's delegating to someone the power to make decisions, like create regulations, for example. A bylaw is a kind of delegated legislation. To simplify that, the local council may say, hey, if you live in a really dense urban area, you're not allowed to own 70 chickens without a license. They'll poop everywhere and it's going to be a hazard. The council can only do that though because an Act of State Parliament said to begin with, local councils are authorised to make bylaws in respect to how many birds a person may keep without a licence on their property for the purposes of health and safety. But obviously the needs and circumstances of different parts of the state vary, so a local council in a rural area would go, whatever, have as many chickens as you like. You live on a farm. That's fine. Because the power to make bylaws is dependent on the Act of Parliament that grants them that power, the state parliament can override local councils on literally any matter. State parliaments can undo individual bylaws and also alter the powers of a local government entirely. Altering local government powers isn't just about taking things away though. Sometimes it's to give them more power. Local councils were originally created to maintain roads, bridges and sewerage in a local area, but over time they've been granted more duties by the states. This is why your local council may have different powers and responsibilities to others. Each state has its own local government act that provides for how local government areas operate, the manner of their election, and their responsibilities. Because states created them, they can also alter them or abolish them, or smush them together, which is called amalgamation. In 1994, Victoria decided it had too many local government areas, so combined them, amalgamating them from 210 down to 78 local government areas. States can make new ones too, as well. The population of the city of Wanneroo in Perth grew a lot in the 80s and 90s, so it was then split into two, creating the city of Joondalup in 1998, just in time for me to move there as a child and get a City of Joondalup library card, which I still have. For some reason, I don't live anywhere near there. I have no idea if this library card is still valid. It has a picture of what appears to be a balloon saying, I heart my library. That's true. I do heart my library. Now, I absolutely know for certainty that someone's going to comment on this episode saying that local government is unconstitutional because it's not in the Australian Constitution and it's illegitimate. But this is a bad argument. One, states have constitutions too, and every single one of them recognises local government. Two, the Australian Constitution in section 107 says that any power of a state that's not exclusively vested in the Parliament of the Commonwealth shall continue to exist, and local councils were created before federation. Therefore, three, their creation and management is a state power that is actually explicitly protected by the Australian Constitution, and any argument to the contrary is wrong. And I guarantee someone has already commented before they've even got to this part of the episode saying, we had two referendums on the existence of local government and they were both rejected. Well, yes, we have had two referendums about local government, one in 1974 and another in 1988, and yes, both were rejected. But I need to point out that neither of them was whether or not local government should exist, because it did already. Elections for local governments in Australia predate parliamentary elections in Australia. That's how old they are. Anyway, back to the referendums. 1974 was about if the federal government should be able to directly fund local councils, which was rejected to prevent giving the federal government more power and centralising its say in local affairs. And the 1988 referendum was about federal recognition of local government, but was rejected either because it was unnecessary or would potentially give the federal government more power, which we know people hate doing. However, the failure of both of those referendums does not impact the continued existence and constitutional validity of local governments at all, because voting no in a referendum simply means nothing changes. So really, voting down those two referendums doesn't reject local government, it doesn't delegitimize local government, it protects local government from change and maintains the status quo that it is in fact solely the domain of states to create and manage. So enjoy! Go enjoy a local park, visit your local library, get a library card if you haven't got one already, and see what events they have going on there. And also visit your local council's website to know when to take out your bins. And also, don't cram your single bedroom apartment with 70 chickens unless the local council says it's okay. That one's really important to remember. And there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about local government in Australia. Don't forget to comment down below what you would like to learn about next. Share, subscribe, tell people in the street how much you love Auspol Explained, that sort of thing. And also feel free to support me on Patreon. Thank you so much to those who do already. The link is in the description if you'd like to give me just a few dollars a month to support free education for everyone or get access to episodes early. That's it from me. I'll see you next time. Hello, Future David here. I just called up Joondalup Library to check if my library card still worked. The answer is it can if I reactivate it, because it deactivated back in 2015 from lack of use. Because again, I have not lived near Joondalup for a very long time. But I could, in theory, use it if I just updated my details and was like, reactivate this. But I'm not gonna. I am instead going to enjoy a library closer to me, wherever that is. I'm not gonna reveal to you. So hey, that's cool to know. Anyway, go enjoy your local library. Goodbye again.